The chosen prey. The northern lights danced across the Alaskan sky as Marcus Chen made his final checks on the survival gear in his backpack. 20 years as a wilderness guide had taught him to respect the untamed lands, but tonight something felt different. The aurora seemed more vibrant, almost alien in its intensity, casting an eerie glow over the snow-covered landscape. Marcus pulled his thermal jacket closer, his breath forming clouds in the frigid air. At 42, he was in his prime, his weathered face and keen eyes testament to countless expeditions in the harshest environments Earth had to offer. Tonight was supposed to be a routine check of his remote cameras, tracking the local wolf population for a wildlife conservation project. The first sign that something was amiss came when his satellite phone lost signal. Then his compass began to spin wildly, its needle dancing as if possessed. Marcus felt the hair on the back of his neck stand up, an instinct honed by years in the wilderness telling him he was being watched. That's when he saw it, a shimmer in the air, like heat waves on a summer road, but here in the depths of an Alaskan winter. The aurora above intensified, its colors shifting from green to a deep, unnatural purple. Marcus reached for his emergency flare, but before he could grasp it, a beam of light engulfed him. The sensation was unlike anything he had ever experienced. It felt as if every atom in his body was being pulled apart and reassembled. When his vision cleared, he found himself in a vast metallic chamber. The air was thick with an odd, sweet smell that made his head spin. Subject acquired, a voice announced in perfect English, though its tone was too precise, too artificial. Commencing preliminary assessment. Marcus tried to move, but his limbs felt heavy, unresponsive. Through blurred vision, he saw figures approaching, tall, sleek beings with gray skin that seemed to shimmer like liquid mercury. Their eyes were vast and black, reflecting his own terrified expression back at him. "I am Grand Hunter Zaruk of the Kracken Hunting Guild," one of the figures announced, its voice a grating whisper. "You have been chosen for the honor of participating in our great hunt." Marcus found his voice, though it came out as a rasp. "I don't remember signing up for any hunt." A sound emerged from the aliens, something between a laugh and a hiss. "Participation is not optional, Marcus Chen. We have studied your species, and you particularly. Your survival skills make you ideal prey." As his vision cleared fully, Marcus took in his surroundings. The chamber was filled with what appeared to be trophies, preserved specimens from countless worlds. Some were recognizably Earth animals, while others defied description. All were displayed with a sort of reverent brutality. "Your kind has such potential," Zara continued, running a long six-fingered hand over a nearby display. "Yet you waste it. We give purpose to your existence. The hunt elevates all." Marcus's mind raced. He had survived blizzards, avalanches, and encounters with grizzly bears, but this was beyond anything in his experience. Yet, as the initial shock began to fade, something else stirred within him, a defiance, a refusal to be merely prey. "And if I refuse to be hunted?" he asked, his voice stronger now. Zoruk's face remained impassive, but there was a glint of something like amusement in those black eyes. "You misunderstand. The hunt has already begun." With a gesture, Zoruk activated a holographic display. It showed a moon orbiting a gas giant, its surface a maze of canyons and forests unlike anything on Earth. "This is Nexus Prime, our sacred hunting ground. You will be released there, given a head start, and then—" the alien's mouth stretched in what might have been a smile, revealing rows of metallic teeth. "Then we hunt." As Marcus was led away to be prepared for the hunt, he felt something stirring deep within him, something primal, awakened by the stress and the alien environment. Unknown to both him and his captors, his DNA contained a dormant gene, a legacy from ancestors long forgotten. And as the 3 moons of Nexus Prime rose on the horizon, that gene began to activate, triggered by forces beyond human understanding. The Kracken had chosen their prey carefully, but they had no way of knowing that they had just unleashed something far more dangerous than mere human cunning. As Marcus was transported to the surface of Nexus Prime, the first pangs of transformation began to course through his body. The hunters were about to become the hunted. Apex Evolution. The free moons of Nexus Prime cast their crimson glow over the alien landscape as Marcus Chen felt his body betray him. What started as a tingling beneath his skin had evolved into white-hot agony that threatened to tear him apart from the inside. He collapsed against a tree-like structure, its bioluminescent bark pulsing in sync with his racing heartbeat. Subject displays unusual biosignatures. A mechanical voice announced from somewhere in the violet canopy above, initiating enhanced monitoring protocols. Marcus knew the Kracken were watching. This was, after all, their twisted form of entertainment, a game show where the stakes were life and death. But something was changing within him, something that even their advanced technology couldn't have predicted. His vision shifted, colors intensifying until the world around him became a kaleidoscope of predator and prey. He could smell the metallic odor of the Kracken hunters, taste their anticipation on the air. And beneath it all, a new instinct awakened, one that whispered of power, of the thrill of the hunt. The first transformation was unlike anything ever recorded in the Krakken's extensive archives. Marcus's body elongated, muscles rippling and reforming beneath skin that sprouted thick, midnight black fur. His face extended into a lupine muzzle filled with teeth that could shred through the strongest alloys. But most terrifying were his eyes, now glowing with an inner fire that spoke of intelligence and primal fury combined. From their observation post, the Kracken hunters watched in fascination and growing unease. Impossible, Zorak breathed, his metallic teeth clicking in agitation. The simulations showed nothing of this potential. Grand Hunter, one of his subordinates ventured, should we terminate the hunt? This specimen has become an unknown variable. Zorak's black eyes narrowed. No, this makes it even more valuable. Imagine the glory of claiming such a trophy. On the hunting grounds below, Marcus was learning the capabilities of his new form. The alien environment, rather than hindering him, seemed to enhance his transformation. The bioluminescent flora responded to his presence, dimming to conceal his movements. The very air, thick with unknown spores, carried information to his enhanced senses. The first hunting party never stood a chance. They came equipped with plasma nets and sonic stunners, expecting to find a terrified human running blindly through the alien terrain. Instead, they found an apex predator that had been studying them. Marcus moved like a shadow through the luminous underbrush. His first victim went down silently, pulled into the darkness by a force that seemed more myth than flesh. The second had time for only a short, strangled cry before joining his companion. The third hunter, more cautious, activated his thermal scanners. Command, we've lost contact with Hunters Krell and Voss. Something is out here, something fat. His transmission cut off in a gurgle as claws harder than diamond tore through his protective armor like tissue paper. From his command center, Zorak watched the footage with a mixture of horror and exhilaration. In all his centuries of hunting, he had never seen anything like this. The creature moved with impossible speed, its attacks precise and devastatingly effective. Yet its eyes, those eyes showed an intelligence that sent chills down his spine. Deploy the Huntmaster drones, he ordered, his voice tight with anticipation. Let's see how a wolf handles true technological superiority. The sky above the hunting grounds darkened as hundreds of sleek, deadly drones descended. Each was equipped with advanced AI and weapons designed to subdue the most dangerous prey in the galaxy. They moved in perfect formation, their sensors scanning for any sign of their target. Deep in the bioluminescent forest, Marcus felt the change in the air. His transformed body thrummed with energy, every enhanced sense alert to the new threat. But instead of fear, he felt a savage joy. The human part of him recognized the tactical challenge, while the wolf exulted in the prospect of proving its dominance. As the drones began their search pattern, Marcus made his way to higher ground. The Kracken had chosen this moon as their hunting ground for its challenging terrain, never imagining it would be used against them. He moved through the treetops, his powerful form adapting to the alien environment as if he had been born to it. The first drone fell to a precisely timed leap, Marcus's claws finding vulnerable spots in its armor that only his enhanced senses could detect. As it crashed to the ground, its distress signal attracted others. Perfect. What followed was a display of tactical prowess that had the watching Kracken hunters in stunned silence. Marcus used the terrain, the very weapons of his enemies, against them. Drones were lured into tight spaces where their maneuverability was compromised. Others were tricked into firing upon each other, their advanced AI confused by the creature that moved faster than their targeting systems could track. As the carnage unfolded, Zorak's excitement grew. This was no mere prey animal fighting for survival. This was a warrior, a true challenge. For the first time in centuries, the Grand Hunter felt genuine uncertainty about the outcome of a hunt. "Prepare my personal combat suit," he commanded, rising from his observation throne. "It's time I entered the game myself." As the last drone fell from the sky, Marcus stood in a clearing, his lupine form silhouetted against the triple moons. His roar of triumph echoed across the hunting grounds, a sound that combined the wolf's primal challenge with something uniquely human, a promise of retribution. The hunt had truly begun, but the roles of predator and prey were no longer what the Kracken had planned. As Marcus felt the power coursing through his transformed body, one thought remained clear in his mind. He would not just survive this hunt, he would end it, and with it, the Krakken's cruel game forever. The Alpha Protocol. The command center of the Kracken hunting vessel erupted into chaos as emergency alerts blared through its crystalline corridors. Grand Hunter Zarok stood before a holographic display showing the devastation wreaked by their unexpectedly evolved prey. But it wasn't the destruction that made his metallic teeth grind with tension. It was the methodical nature of it all. "Sir," his second-in-command, Valisha, reported, her silver skin reflecting the emergency lights. "The creature. It's not just destroying our hunting equipment, it's learning." The display shifted to show their prized containment cells, where other human captives were kept for future hunts. One by one, the cells were going dark, not destroyed, but systematically disabled. Their prey wasn't just surviving, it was mounting a rescue operation. Zorak's black eyes narrowed. Fascinating. It retains human strategic thinking, even in its transformed state. Activate the Alpha Protocol. Valsha's luminous eyes widened in shock. "But sir, the Alpha Protocol has never been tested in actual combat. The energy requirements alone could destabilize the entire moon's ecosystem." "Then we better hope it works the first time," Zorak replied, his voice cold as space itself. Deep in the bioluminescent forests of Nexus Prime, Marcus had never felt more alive. His transformed body moved with fluid grace as he disabled another containment cell, his claws delicately manipulating the alien technology as if he'd been born to it. The human inside him understood the mechanics, while the wolf provided the enhanced senses and strength needed to execute his plan. A young woman stumbled out of the deactivated cell, her eyes wide with disbelief as she took in his lupine form. Are you here to help us?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Marcus nodded, his wolfish features arranging themselves into what he hoped was a reassuring expression. He had already freed 6 other humans, each with their own unique skills. A military strategist, a biologist, a tech prodigy. The Kracken had been selecting humans not just for sport, but for their expertise. "I'm Dr. Sarah Connor," the woman said, straightening her torn clothes. "Xenobiologist. They took me right from my lab in Geneva. Said something about wanting to study how humans adapt to extreme situations." A growl rumbled in Marcus's chest. The Kracken would get their data on human adaptation, but not in the way they had planned. Suddenly, the air itself seemed to vibrate. The bioluminescent plants around them dimmed, as if drawing into themselves. Marcus's enhanced senses screamed danger a moment before the sky split open. It started as a pinpoint of light high above the treetops, then expanded into a swirling vortex of energy that bathed the entire hunting ground in an otherworldly glow. From its center, a figure descended, Zorok, that transformed. The Grand Hunter was encased in what looked like living metal, his form grown to match Marcus's lupine height. Tubes of swirling energy pulsed across the armor's surface, and when he spoke, his voice resonated with power that made the very ground tremble. "You have proven yourself worthy prey," Marcus Chen, Zorok announced. "But now, witness the true apex predator of the galaxy." The armor he wore was the culmination of centuries of Kracken hunting technology, the Alpha Protocol. It adapted to its wearer's thoughts, enhanced their natural abilities, and provided them with weapons beyond imagining. In all of Kracken history, it had never been needed for a single hunt. Marcus felt the other humans retreat to the safety of the underbrush, but Dr. Connor lingered. "That armor," she whispered, her scientist's mind racing. "It's drawing power from the moon's core. If it overloads..." She didn't need to finish. Marcus could sense it, the growing instability in the very ground beneath their feet. The Kracken were willing to destroy their own hunting ground rather than admit defeat. What followed was a battle that defied description. Zorok moved with impossible speed, the Alpha Protocol armor allowing him to match Marcus's enhanced abilities. Energy blasts carved trenches in the alien soil, while physical blows created shockwaves that shattered the luminous trees around them. But Marcus had something Zorok didn't: true adaptability. With each exchange, he learned his transformed body and tactical mind working in perfect harmony. He noticed how the armor glowed brighter with each attack, the energy within becoming more unstable. Meanwhile, the freed humans weren't idle. Led by Dr. Connor, they worked to understand the hunting grounds systems. The tech prodigy, a teenage boy named Aiden, had managed to hack into a discarded drone, giving them access to the Krakken's network. "The moon's core is becoming critical," Dr. Connor reported through the drone's comm system. "Whatever you're going to do it fast." Marcus feinted left, then struck with devastating force at a point where the armor's energy tubes converged. His claws, enhanced by the same alien environment that had triggered his transformation, pierced the living metal. Zorok's roar of pain and rage echoed across the hunting ground. The Alpha Protocol armor began to spark and surge, its connection to the moon's core becoming a liability rather than an advantage. "Impossible," the Grand Hunter snarled. "We are the apex predators. We are the hunters." Marcus's response was not in words, but in actions. With a series of lightning-fast strikes, he systematically damaged the armor's power distribution system. As it began to fail, he could smell the fear beginning to emanate from within, real fear, perhaps for the first time in Zorok's long life. The freed humans had taken refuge in an abandoned Kracken outpost, where Dr. Connor made a startling discovery. "The moon's indigenous life," she reported excitedly. "It's all connected. It's been helping you, hasn't it? Adapting you, empowering you." And she was right. Marcus could feel it. A symbiosis with Nexus Prime itself. The moon had recognized in him a kindred spirit, a being capable of true evolution. As Zorok's armor failed, the very ground beneath them seemed to pulse with power, channeling it into Marcus's transformed body. The Grand Hunter stumbled, his armor now more hindrance than help. What are you?" For the first time since his transformation, Marcus spoke, his voice a growl that carried both power and intelligence. "I am what you made me. The ultimate adaptation. And this hunt is over." As the Alpha Protocol armor finally shut down, its connection to the moon's core severed, Marcus stood victorious over his fallen opponent. But the battle was not yet won. The hunting grounds were still unstable, and somewhere above, a vessel full of Kracken hunters waited to either retrieve their leader or avenge him. The next phase of the fight would not be tooth and claw against living metal, but a battle of wits and wills that would determine the fate not just of the captive humans, but of Nexus Prime itself. Evolution's echo. The defeated Grand Hunter Zarok lay amid the ruins of his Alpha Protocol armor, black eyes fixed on Marcus's lupine form. "You think this is victory?" he wheezed, a liquid silver substance leaking from his joints. "The Hunt ship carries 10,000 of my kind. They will reduce this moon to atoms to avenge me." Above, the crimson sky of Nexus Prime began to ripple as the massive Kracken Hunt ship descended through the atmosphere, its hull gleaming like a metallic leviathan. But Marcus was no longer focused on Zorok or the impending invasion. Something far more extraordinary was happening. Dr. Sarah Connor's voice crackled through their salvaged comm unit. "Marcus, the readings we're getting, it's impossible. The moon's biosphere, it's not just alive, it's awakening, and you've somehow become its catalyst." The bioluminescent flora around them pulsed with increasing intensity, creating waves of light that spread across the hunting grounds. The freed humans watched in awe as the very ground beneath their feet began to shift and transform. Aiden, the teenage tech prodigy, had managed to hack deeper into the Kraken systems. "Guys, you need to see this. The Kraken didn't choose this moon randomly. There are logs going back thousands of years. They've been trying to trigger something, using the hunt as a cover." Marcus felt it first, a resonance that seemed to echo through his transformed body. The wolf within him recognized it as a call, ancient and powerful. The human part of him understood its significance. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore, they were part of something far greater. From the ground erupted massive tendrils of bioluminescent matter, weaving together to form structures that defied conventional biology. As they watched, the hunting grounds began to reveal their true nature, not a moon, but a vast living superorganism that had been dormant for millennia. "It's the Genesis engine," Dr. Connor breathed, her scientific mind racing to comprehend what she was seeing. "The Kraken didn't create this place. They found it. They've been trying to activate it, using the stress and adaptability of their prey as a key." The hunt ship's weapons powered up, filling the sky with a web of targeting lasers. But as they prepared to fire, the moon responded. The structures created by the bioluminescent tendrils began to pulse with energy, and suddenly, every piece of Kraken technology on the surface went dark. Volsh's panicked voice echoed from Zorok's broken comm unit. "Grand Hunter, we've lost all power. The ship's systems are being rewritten." Marcus felt a new change beginning within him. The wolf was still there, but now something else was integrating with his transformed DNA. The moon wasn't just awakening, it was upgrading him, using his unique adaptability as a template for its own evolution. Dr. Connor's eyes widened as she studied the readings on their salvaged equipment. "Marcus, your genetic structure, it's becoming a bridge between Earth biology and this moon's systems. You're not just changing, you're becoming a key to unlock something unprecedented." The other freed humans were changing too, each in their own unique way. The military strategist found he could mentally interface with the moon's defensive systems. The biologist's body began producing compounds that could communicate directly with the bioluminescent flora. Even young Aiden discovered he could see the moon's digital patterns as if they were physical structures. Zarok watched all this with a mixture of fear and revelation. "All this time, we thought we were the hunters, the shapers of evolution. But we were just the caretakers, keeping the hunting grounds active until the right catalyst arrived." The hunt ship tried to retreat, but it was too late. Tendrils of energy reached up from the moon's surface, enveloping the massive vessel. Instead of destroying it, they began to transform it, integrating it into the awakening superorganism. Marcus stretched his newly enhanced senses and found he could feel every part of the moon, from its core to its atmosphere. The wolf's predatory instincts combined with this vast neural network, giving him insights that no human or Kraken had ever possessed. Through their shared connection, he addressed the Kraken aboard the captured hunt ship. "Your hunt is over. This moon doesn't belong to you. It never did. But you have a choice: adapt or leave." The response came not in words, but in a wave of surrender that rippled through the Kracken collective consciousness. Centuries of believing themselves to be the apex predators had left them unprepared for becoming prey to something far greater than themselves. As the moon continued its transformation, Dr. Connor worked feverishly to understand the changes. This isn't just an awakening, she realized. It's an invitation. The moon, through you, is offering humanity a chance to be part of something extraordinary, a true leap in evolution. Marcus looked at his fellow humans, each now changed in their own way, then at the defeated Zarok and his transformed ship. The hunt had started as a game of predator and prey, but it had become something far more significant, the beginning of a new chapter in the story of life itself. But even as they marveled at their transformation and victory, a new challenge loomed. The awakening of Nexus Prime would not go unnoticed in the galaxy. Other powers would come, drawn by the promise of its power. And when they did, they would find not just a transformed moon, but a new species ready to defend it, human and wolf, Earth and alien, predator and protector, all in one. As the three moons cast their light over the evolving landscape, Marcus raised his head and let out a howl that carried not just victory, but a promise. The hunt was over, but the real adventure was just beginning. Legacy of the Star Wolves. The galaxy held its breath as news spread across the cosmic networks. Nexus Prime, the legendary hunting ground of the Kracken, had awakened. But it wasn't just the moon that had transformed. Something new had emerged. A hybrid species that combined the best of humanity with both the primal power of the wolf and the infinite potential of an ancient alien superorganism. Marcus Chen, once a simple wilderness guide, now stood at the nexus of this evolutionary revolution. His lupine form had evolved further, his midnight fur now threaded with lines of bioluminescence that pulsed in sync with the moon's vast nervous system. When he moved, reality itself seemed to ripple around him. Dr. Sarah Connor, her own transformation allowing her to perceive the quantum nature of biology, made a stunning discovery. The moon, the transformation, all of it, it's not random. It's a test, created by beings so advanced they wrote their legacy into the fabric of evolution itself. Young Aiden, his technopathic abilities now allowing him to communicate directly with the moon's systems, uncovered ancient data streams hidden in what they had thought was simply background radiation. They called themselves the predecessors, he explained, his eyes glowing with streams of data. They seeded the galaxy with Genesis engines like Nexus Prime, waiting for species worthy of their legacy. The defeated Kracken, their own biology now irreversibly altered by their proximity to the awakened moon, began to share their secret histories. For millennia, they had sensed the potential of these hunting grounds, instinctively drawn to test prey against its challenges, but they had never imagined they were participating in a grand experiment spanning billions of years. Yet, even as they grappled with these revelations, a new threat emerged. The quantum sensors that Aiden had integrated into the transformed hunt ship detected multiple vessels dropping out of hyperspace, drawn by the moon's awakening. 3 major galactic powers, the former military strategist reported, his mind linked directly to the moon's defense grid. The Swarm Collective, the Mechaniachi, and something else, something old. Marcus felt it too, a presence that made even his enhanced form bristle with primitive recognition. As the unknown ship emerged from the darkness of space, its design defied conventional physics, seeming to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Through their shared connection to Nexus Prime, they all heard the transmission. Children of the Wolf Moon, we have waited eons for this moment. We are the Watchers, tasked by the predecessors to guide those who prove worthy of ascension. The ship of the Watchers transformed as it approached, its impossible geometry resolving into a shape that seemed to be an amalgamation of every apex predator in the galaxy's history. As it entered orbit, a figure emerged, not through any conventional means, but by simply willing itself into existence on the moon's surface. The Watcher stood twice Marcus's height, its form shifting between different predatory aspects, at one moment scaled, The next third, then something entirely alien. When it spoke, its voice resonated not through air, but through the evolutionary memory encoded in their DNA. The predecessors knew that true adaptability, the key to surviving the challenges that await at the galaxy's crown, could not be engineered. It had to be earned through countless cycles of predator and prey, each pushing the other to new heights of evolution. Dr. Connor's enhanced mind quickly grasped the implications. The hunts, the transformations, they weren't just about survival. They were about proving our worth to inherit powers beyond our comprehension. The other approaching ships, representing the galaxy's dominant powers, took up orbital positions around Nexus Prime. Their weapons armed but dormant, waiting to see how this encounter would unfold. The Watcher turned its shifting gaze to Marcus. You, Wolf who was man, have proven yourself worthy not just of survival, but of guardianship. The legacy of the predecessors is now yours to protect and expand. With a gesture, the Watcher activated something deep within Nexus Prime's core. The moon's surface began to transform once more, but this time with purpose and direction. Massive structures emerged, not just biological but transcendent, technology so advanced it made their previous understanding of physics seem like stone tools. "Behold the Astral Forge," the Watcher announced. "With it, you can create more of your kind, seeding the galaxy with new potential. The Star Wolves will rise, not as conquerors, but as guardians of evolution itself." Marcus felt the power of the Astral Forge resonating with his transformed DNA. With it, he could uplift others, offering them the same chance at transcendence that he had been given. But with that power came a choice and responsibility. The assembled galactic powers waited for his decision. The Swarm Collective offered numbers beyond counting. The Mechaniarchy promised technological supremacy, and the Watchers, they offered purpose. Marcus looked at his fellow transformed humans, at the evolved Kracken who had begun to see beyond their hunting instincts, and at the infinite potential that now lay before them. He made his choice. "We will not hide, nor will we conquer," he declared, his voice carrying the weight of both wolf and destiny. "We will hunt, not for sport or survival, but for potential. We will find those who are ready to evolve and offer them the chance to join us." The Watcher's form rippled with what might have been approval. The age of simple predator and prey is over. The era of the Star Wolves has begun. As if in response to his words, the Astral Forge pulsed with power. Across the galaxy, other Genesis engines stirred, awakening from their eons-long slumber. The hunt was about to begin anew, but this time with purpose, to find those worthy of becoming part of something greater. Dr. Connor, her eyes alight with the possibilities of their new existence, smiled. "Well, I guess that answers the question of what we're going to do next." Young Aiden, already interfacing with the Astral Forge's systems, grinned. "Think anyone will believe us when we tell them we went from being hunting trophies to guardians of galactic evolution?" Marcus looked out at the stars, his enhanced vision able to see the threads of potential that connected them all. The wolf within him hungered not for prey, but for the thrill of discovery. Humanity had not just survived the hunt, they had transcended it. As the three moons of Nexus Prime aligned, casting their light on the transformed landscape below, a new chapter in the history of the galaxy began. The Star Wolves would rise, not as monsters or mere predators, but as shepherds of potential, guardians of evolution, and living proof that sometimes the greatest treasures are found not in victory, but in adaptation. The hunt was over, the legacy had begun.